A waitress slipped Keanu Reeves a folded note while serving his steak. He opened it, read 3 sentences, and his hands started shaking. What was written on that paper changed everything happening in that restaurant, and what he did next. No one saw it coming. It was supposed to be a quiet Thursday night at Rosewood Diner. Just another forgotten restaurant on the edge of town, where nobody expects anything extraordinary to happen. But when Keanu Reeves walked through that door, wearing a plain hoodie, baseball cap pulled low, trying to stay invisible, he had no idea he was about to become part of someone's desperate cry for help. He ordered a simple meal. A steak, medium rare. Black coffee. Nothing fancy. The waitress who served him seemed exhausted, tired eyes, worn apron. But she smiled anyway. Her name was Emma, and she was drowning. Across the diner, a man in an expensive suit was making a scene, snapping his fingers at staff, raising his voice, treating people like they were beneath him. Keanu noticed, but he stayed quiet, watching. Then it happened. As Emma placed his plate down, her hand trembling slightly, she leaned in just enough to slip a folded piece of paper beside his napkin. "Please," she whispered it, and then she walked away before he could respond. Keanu stared at the note for a moment. He could have ignored it, could have finished his meal and left like nothing happened. But he didn't. He unfolded it slowly, and what he read made his entire body tense. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the edges of the paper, and in that moment, everything in that diner was about to change. Before we continue, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if you believe kindness still matters in this world, type respect below. Let's see how many good hearts are out there. It was a cold Thursday evening at Rosewood Diner, a small, worn-down place on the edge of town. The kind of spot where truckers stop for cheap coffee, where locals gather after long shifts, where the paint is peeling and the neon sign flickers every few seconds. Nobody comes here expecting luxury, and definitely nobody expects to see a Hollywood star sitting in the corner booth. But that's exactly where Keanu Reeves was. He'd been driving for hours, avoiding the chaos of Los Angeles, looking for somewhere quiet. Somewhere real. Rosewood Diner was perfect. He walked in just after 7 p.m., plain hoodie, faded jeans, baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. No bodyguards, no assistants, no cameras, just a man looking for a peaceful meal. The bell above the door chimed softly as he entered. A few heads turned. Most didn't notice. Or if they did, they didn't recognize him. He chose the corner booth near the back window, slid in quietly, pulled out a small worn notebook and a pencil, something he always carried to sketch and clear his mind. Moments later, a young waitress approached. Her name tag read Emma. She looked to be in her mid-20s. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her apron had a coffee stain near the pocket, but when she smiled, it was genuine. "Welcome to Rosewood. What can I get you tonight?" Her voice was soft, polite, the kind of voice that's been trained to stay calm no matter how hard the day has been. Keanu looked up and smiled back. "Just a steak, medium rare. And coffee? Black. Coming right up, sir." She jotted it down and walked toward the kitchen. Keanu went back to his sketching. The diner hummed with quiet conversation. An old jukebox played a scratchy Fleetwood Mac song in the background. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. But across the diner, that peace was about to shatter. Sitting near the center of the restaurant was a man in an expensive tailored suit. His name was Mr. Richard Dillon, mid-50s. Slicked back gray hair, gold cufflinks, a Rolex that caught the light every time he moved his wrist. He sat with 2 younger men, his associates, both dressed in cheap knockoffs of his style, laughing too loud at his jokes, nodding at everything he said. Dillon was a real estate developer. The kind who bought up struggling properties, squeezed every dollar out of the land, and tossed families aside like paperwork, and he made sure everyone knew it. "Waitress," he barked, snapping his fingers without even looking up. Emma hurried over, balancing 2 plates. "Yes, sir? This coffee's cold. You brought me cold coffee." Emma's face flushed. "I'm so sorry, sir. I'll get you a fresh pot right away. You'll do more than that. You'll bring me a fresh cup, apologize properly, and maybe, just maybe, I won't mention this to your manager." "Of course. I apologize, Mr. Dillon." She rushed to the coffee station, hands trembling slightly as she poured. Keanu noticed. He stopped sketching. His pencil hovered over the page. He watched Emma return to Dillon's table, watched her apologize again, watched the way Dillon waved her off like she was an insect. Keanu's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. Not my business, he thought. Just let it go. Emma walked back toward the kitchen, head down, shoulders tense. She paused near the counter for just a second, long enough to take a deep breath and steady herself. Then she grabbed Keanu's order and brought it out. "Here you go, sir," she said softly, placing the plate and coffee in front of him. "Enjoy." "Thank you," Keanu said. "You okay?" She froze for a second. Surprised, most customers didn't ask. "Yeah," she said quietly. "Just a long shift." "Thanks for asking." She gave him a small, tired smile and turned to leave. But before she could take 2 steps, "Emma." Dylan's voice boomed across the diner, and everything was about to go very, very wrong. Emma's entire body tensed. She turned slowly, forcing the smile back onto her face. "Yes, Mr. Dillon." He didn't even look at her. Just jabbed his fork toward the plate in front of him. "This steak is overcooked." "Look at it. I asked for medium rare. This is practically charcoal." Emma stepped closer, glancing at the plate. "The steak looked perfectly fine." "I am sorry, sir. I can have the kitchen make you another one right away."
"Oh, you're sorry?"
Dylan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, smirking. "You're always sorry, aren't you, Emma?" His associate snickered. Emma's face turned red. "I'll get you a new steak immediately." "No." Dylan cut her off. "First, you're going to apologize." "Properly." "I just did, sir." "No," you mumbled. "I want to hear it clearly. Loud enough so everyone in this pathetic little diner knows that you messed up." The conversations around them began to quiet. People were watching now. Emma's hands trembled. Her voice cracked slightly. I'm very sorry, Mr. Dillon. I'll fix this right away." Louder. Her eyes glistened. She blinked rapidly. "I'm sorry." "Still can't hear you." Keanu's grip tightened around his coffee cup. He could feel his pulse rising. Every instinct told him to stand up, to say something. But he stayed seated. Watching. Waiting, give her a chance to walk away, he thought. Don't make it worse. But Dylan wasn't done. "You know what, Emma?" Dylan said, leaning forward now, his voice dripping with condescension. "Maybe the problem isn't the steak. Maybe the problem is you." "Sir, You've been working here how long?" 2 years. 3, and you still can't get a simple order right." One of his associates laughed. "Maybe she's just not smart enough for the job." Emma's lip quivered. She looked down at the floor. I'll bring you another steak." "Not yet." Dylan's voice turned ice cold. "First, I want you to get on your knees and apologize like you mean it." The entire diner went silent. Forks stopped mid-air. Conversations died. Someone gasped. Emma stood frozen, her face drained of color. "Excuse me, you heard me, knees. Now. Or I'll make a call to your manager, and you'll be out of a job by morning. And trust me, sweetheart, I own half the buildings on this block, including the one your mother's renting." Emma's breath hitched. You know about my mother?" Dylan smiled. A slow, cruel smile. "Of course I do. Medical debt, right? Stage 4 cancer. Must be expensive. Shame if you lost your income right now." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. Her hands shook. She glanced around the diner at the other customers, at her coworkers behind the counter, at the exit. But there was nowhere to go. Slowly, painfully, she began to lower herself toward the floor. And that's when Keanu stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the tile. Every head turned. Keanu walked toward Dylan's table, calm, steady, hands loose at his sides. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the silence like a blade. "Hey." Dylan turned, annoyed. "Who the hell are you?" "Just another customer." "Then sit down and mind your business." Keanu didn't move. "I think she's apologized enough." Dylan's face twisted into a sneer. He stood up, puffing out his chest. "Oh, we've got a hero. Listen, pal. This is between me and her. So unless you want trouble, I suggest you go back to your corner and finish your cheap steak." Keanu's expression didn't change. "She's doing her job. You're the one making a scene. Do you have any idea who I am?" "I know exactly who you are." Dylan's eyes narrowed. "And who's that?" Keanu stepped closer. "A bully who thinks money gives him the right to humiliate people." The room held its breath. Dylan's face turned red. His fists clenched. But before he could respond, Emma stepped forward, and she did something no one expected. She reached into her apron, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and pressed it into Keanu's hand. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Please just read this." Keanu looked down at the folded note in his hand, then back at Emma. Her eyes were pleading, desperate. "Please." She whispered again. Dylan laughed loud and mocking. "Oh, this is rich. What is that, a love letter? You trying to get his autograph, Emma?" His associates burst into laughter. Wait a second." One of them squinted at Keanu. "Holy shit. Is that Keanu Reeves?" The diner erupted in whispers. Phones started coming out. People began recording. Dylan's smirk faltered for just a moment, but then he doubled down. Keanu Reeves. He scoffed. Well, Hollywood royalty slumming it in a dive like this. Tell me, Mr. Reeves, does defending waitresses make you feel like a hero? Keanu ignored him. He unfolded the note slowly. The room watched in silence. And as his eyes scanned the words, his entire expression changed. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the edges of the paper. His breathing slowed. Whatever was written on that note, it hit him hard. The note read, Mr. Reeves, I know who you are. I'm so sorry to involve you in this, but I don't know what else to do. That man, Mr. Dillon, owns my mother's medical debt. She's in the hospital right now. Stage 4 cancer. The treatments are costing us everything. He's threatening to foreclose on our home if we don't pay $40,000 by tomorrow morning. I've been working triple shifts. I've sold everything I own. It's not enough. I don't expect you to help. I needed someone to know. Thank you for standing up for me, Emma. Keanu folded the note carefully. He slipped it into his jacket pocket. Then he looked at Emma, really looked at her. She was barely holding it together. Tears streaked down her cheeks. Her hands were shaking. He turned back to Dylan. How much does she owe you? Dylan blinked. What? Her mother's debt. How much? Dylan's smirk returned. That's between me and her family. How much? The edge in Keanu's voice made everyone freeze. Dylan shifted uncomfortably. 40,000, and it's due tomorrow. Not my problem, she can't pay. Keanu pulled out his phone. What are you doing? Dylan asked, his confidence cracking. Calling my financial manager. You're what? Keanu held the phone to his ear. Waited 2 rings. Hey, Marcus. Yeah, it's me. I need you to wire $40,000 immediately. He paused. To Richard Dillon's account. Right now. The diner went dead silent. Dylan's face went pale. Wet. You can't just... What's your account number? Keanu asked coldly. Dylan stammered. You don't need to. Account number. Now, one of Dylan's associates, panicking, pulled out his phone and rattled off the information. Keanu repeated it into the phone. Yeah, send it now. Thanks, Marcus. He hung up. 30 seconds later, Dylan's phone buzzed. He pulled it out with shaking hands. His eyes widened. Deposti 40,000 odoured. The color drained from his face. Keanu stepped closer. Check your account. The debt's paid. Dylan stared at the screen. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. You didn't have to.
You're right, I didn't.
Keanu's voice dropped to a whisper, but everyone in the diner heard it. But she did. She had to beg. She had to work herself to exhaustion. She had to stand here and take your abuse just to keep a roof over her dying mother's head. Dylan swallowed hard. Now here's what's going to happen. Keanu continued. You're going to tear up any legal claim you have on her family's home. You're going to leave Emma and her mother alone, and you're going to walk out of here. Quietly, and if I don't. Keanu leaned in close. Then I make a phone call, and by tomorrow morning, every news outlet in the country will know exactly how Richard Dillon treats people who can't fight back. Dylan's hands trembled. He looked around, at the phones recording him, at the faces staring in disgust, at his associates who were already backing away. He grabbed his coat. This isn't over. He muttered. Keanu didn't blink. Yes, it is. Dylan stormed toward the exit, his associates scrambling behind him. The door slammed shut, and the diner exploded in applause. But Keanu wasn't done yet. Part 5, the note reveal and aftermath. The applause echoed through Rosewood Diner. People were standing, clapping, cheering. Some were wiping tears from their eyes. But Emma just stood there, frozen, trembling, staring at Keanu like she couldn't believe what had just happened. You just... Her voice broke. You paid my mother's debt. Keanu turned to face her. Nobody should have to beg to save someone they love. Emma's knees buckled. She grabbed the edge of the nearest table to steady herself, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. I can't ever repay you. You don't have to repay me. But $40,000 is nothing compared to what you've already been through. Emma covered her face with her hands and sobbed. The other waitress behind the counter, an older woman named Diane, rushed over and wrapped her arms around Emma. It's okay, honey. Diane whispered. It's okay. You're safe now. Keanu stood quietly, letting her have the moment. A few customers approached him, wanting to shake his hand, thank him, take photos. He politely declined. This isn't about me. One older man, a trucker with a weathered face, just nodded at him with respect. You're a good man, Mr. Reeves. Keanu nodded back, just trying to do what's right. After a few minutes, Emma wiped her eyes and stepped toward him. I need to know something, she said, her voice shaky but determined.
What is it?
Why? Why did you help me? You don't even know me. Keanu looked at her for a long moment. Because someone helped me once. When I had nothing. When I thought the world had forgotten me. He paused. And I promised myself that if I ever had the chance to do the same for someone else, I would. Emma's lip trembled. Fresh tears spilled over. I'll never forget this. Never. Keanu reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. He handed it to her. What's this? Open it later? When you're alone. I can't accept anything else. It's not about accepting. It's about making sure you and your mom are taken care of. Emma clutched the envelope to her chest, nodding, unable to speak. Keanu gave her a small, kind smile. Then he turned and walked back to his booth. He sat down, picked up his fork, and calmly finished his steak like nothing had happened. 10 minutes later, as the diner slowly returned to normal, Emma stood near the back counter. Diane leaned in close. Did you open it yet? Emma shook her head. I'm scared to. Go on, he told you to. Emma's hands trembled as she carefully opened the envelope. Inside was cash, a lot of cash. She pulled it out slowly, counting $100 bills, $10,000. Her hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God, Diane gasped. Emma, he just gave me $10,000. That man is an angel. Emma looked across the diner at Keanu, who was sipping his coffee, completely calm. She walked over, her envelope still in hand. Keanu. Please, Keanu, I can't take this. Yes, you can. It's too much. You already paid the debt. That was for your mom. This is for you. He looked her in the eyes. Hospital bills. Rent, whatever you need. Use it. Don't let pride get in the way of taking care of yourself. Emma's shoulders shook. I don't deserve this. You deserve more than this. She broke down again. And this time, Keanu stood and let her cry on his shoulder. No cameras, no fanfare. Just quiet human kindness. When she finally pulled away, she looked at him with red, swollen eyes. How can I ever thank you? You already did. By having the courage to ask for help. He left a $500 tip on the table, pulled his cap back down, and headed for the door. As he reached for the handle, Emma called out, Keanu! He turned. The world needs more people like you. He smiled softly. The world needs more people like you, Emma. And then he was gone. Drop res pt in the comments if this hit you hard. And tell me, have you ever helped a stranger, or has a stranger ever helped you? Share your story below. The bell above the door chimed as Keanu stepped out into the cold night air. He took a deep breath. The stars were out. The street was quiet. For a moment, he just stood there, letting the tension drain from his body. That's done, he thought. She'll be okay now. He started walking toward his car, parked at the far end of the lot, but he only made it halfway before he heard footsteps running behind him.
Wait, sir! Wait!
Keanu turned. It was Diane, the older waitress, huffing and out of breath. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to chase you down. It's okay. What's wrong? Diane caught her breath, hands on her knees. I needed to tell you something. About Emma. Keanu's expression shifted. Is she all right? She's fine. Better than fine. But there's something you should know. She straightened up, looked him in the eyes. That girl, she's been through hell. Her father died 3 years ago. Car accident. Her mother got sick a year later. Emma dropped out of college to take care of her. She's been working 3 jobs, this diner, a grocery store, and overnight cleaning at an office building. Keanu's jaw tightened. Diane continued. She hasn't had a day off in 8 months. She sleeps 4 hours a night, sometimes less. I've seen her cry in the back room more times than I can count. Her voice cracked. But she never complains. She just keeps going. Because that's all she knows how to do. Keanu said nothing. Just listened. What you did tonight. Diane's eyes filled with tears. You didn't just pay a debt, you gave her hope. You reminded her that good people still exist. She reached out and squeezed his hand. Thank you. From all of us. Keanu nodded slowly. She's stronger than she knows. She is. But even the strongest people break without help. Diane turned and walked back toward the diner. Keanu stood there for a moment longer. Then he pulled out his phone and made another call. Marcus.
Yeah, it's me again.
Keanu, man, you're on a roll tonight. What now? I need you to do something else. Shoot. There's a diner called Rosewood. Small place. Struggling. I want you to contact the owner. Offer to cover their operating costs for the next 6 months. Marcus paused.
You serious?
Completely?
All right. Anything else? Yeah.
There's a waitress there named Emma. Find out what school she was attending before she dropped out. Pay her tuition, full ride, and set up a trust for her mother's medical expenses. Ongoing treatment. Everything. Silence on the other end. Keanu, I know. Just do it. You got it, brother. Keanu hung up. He looked back at the diner one last time. Through the window, he could see Emma laughing with Diane. Smiling. Really smiling. And for the first time in a long time, Keanu felt like he'd done something that actually mattered. 3 months later, Emma stood outside the entrance to City University, staring up at the brick buildings. In her hand was an acceptance letter. Full scholarship. All expenses paid. She still didn't know who had done it. The letter just said, "Someone believes in you. Don't waste it." Her mother was in remission. The treatments had worked. The medical bills were covered, every single one. The house was safe. Emma had quit 2 of her 3 jobs. She was sleeping again, eating again, living again. And every night before bed, she looked at a photo she'd secretly taken that night at the diner. A blurry image of a man in a hoodie, walking out the door. She didn't know if she'd ever see him again, but she whispered the same thing every time. "Thank you." Back in Los Angeles, Keanu sat in his home, sketching in the same worn notebook. His phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Emma just started her first semester. Straight A's so far. Thought you'd want to know." Keanu smiled. He didn't reply. He just kept drawing, because some things didn't need words. Some things were better left quiet. And that's the part most people never see. Keanu didn't do interviews about it. Didn't post it online. Didn't ask for credit. He just helped. Because that's what real kindness looks like. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. It just needs to be done. So here's what nobody tells you about power. Real power isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't wear expensive suits or flash gold watches. Real power is quiet. It's a man in a hoodie who could have ignored a stranger's pain, but didn't. It's a waitress who kept going even when the world tried to break her. It's choosing kindness when no one's watching. When there's no camera, no applause, no reward. That's power. You see, the world loves to celebrate wealth, fame, status. We put people on pedestals because of what they have, not because of what they give. But Keanu Reeves taught us something that night at Rosewood Diner. He taught us that it doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't use it to lift others up. He could have walked away. He could have finished his steak, left a tip, and gone home. No one would have blamed him. But he didn't. Because he understood something most people forget. We're all one bad day away from needing help. Emma didn't ask to have a dying mother. She didn't choose to drop out of school. She didn't want to work herself to exhaustion. Life just happened. And when it did, the world didn't care. Her boss didn't care. Dylan certainly didn't care. But Keanu did. And that made all the difference. Now I want you to think about something. When was the last time you helped someone who couldn't help you back? Not for credit. Not for likes. Not because someone was watching. Just because it was the right thing to do. Maybe it was paying for someone's coffee. Maybe it was letting someone merge in traffic. Maybe it was just listening when someone needed to talk. Those small moments, they matter. Because kindness isn't measured by the size of the gesture. It's measured by the size of the heart behind it. Keanu didn't just pay Emma's debt. He saw her. He valued her. He treated her like she mattered. And in a world that constantly tells people they're not enough, that's everything. Emma went on to finish college. She became a nurse. And today, she works in the same hospital where her mother was treated. She helps families who are struggling, who are scared, who don't know how they're going to pay the bills. And every single one of them, she treats with the same kindness that was shown to her. Because that's how it works. Kindness doesn't just change one life, it creates a ripple. One act of goodness inspires another, and another, and another, until eventually the world becomes a little less cruel, a little more human. So here's my challenge to you. This week, just this week, I want you to do something kind for someone who can't repay you. Buy a meal for someone who's hungry. Leave an extra tip for a server who looks exhausted. Pay for the person behind you in line. Send a message to someone who's struggling and tell them they matter. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be real. And then, don't tell anyone. Let it be your secret. Let it be something between you and the universe. Because that's when kindness is purest. When there's no reward, no recognition, no proof. Just the quiet knowledge that you made someone's day a little bit easier. The world doesn't need more celebrities. It needs more people like Keanu, people who see pain and choose compassion, people who have power and choose humility, people who could walk away but stay. So be that person. Be the one who stands up when everyone else looks away. Be the one who helps when no one's watching. Be the one who proves that goodness still exists. That's it for today's story. If this one touched your heart, we've got plenty more coming your way. Real moments, real people. Real lessons that remind us what it means to be human. Drop a comment below and tell me which part hit you the hardest.